So today we have Francesca Albanese, Special UN Reporter, about the Palestine. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So, what can we say? What is happening right now over there?
Mm. Um, in a word, it's a genocide. Um, we know that genocide is the intentional destruction of a group in total or in part. As such, it's in fact the intention to destroy a group as such, in total or in part, that can be carried out through various means. Killing, and Israel has been killing at least 60,000 people through bombs, drones, and sniper fire, through acts through the infliction of severe bodily and mental harm. Israel has detained thousands and thousands of Palestinians, torturing them. Some of them it's known that have been raped and raped to death. It's really revolting what has happened. And in Israeli jails, it has starved the population. Of course, not all are reduced in skeleton already, and also because the people react in a different way. And some people had some food left, some money left, others didn't. And so the most vulnerable ones are the kids who are dying. I mean, there have been between 30 and 40 children reported dead because of starvation. And the malnourished kids are in the thousands now. So the situation is horrible, and Gaza is destroyed. So it's very difficult to envisage a future for Gaza. But this is not the point right now. The point right now is that while there have been 20 months like this, nothing moves. Yes, member states start condemning here and there, but not only the Palestinians are continuously bombed and starved, there is also now an aid distribution system which is cynical and sadistic and puts Palestinians in cages to feed them. And when they get them there to get the food, they are told that there is no food, and some people are arrested, and some people have been shot on the spot. I've never seen anything like that. I don't think that anyone has ever seen anything like that. Israel is writing one of the darkest pages in the history of genocides, and it's happening under our eyes. And
What
sorry, and
can,
let me add, while this is happening in Gaza, the situation in the West Bank is awful as well, because Israel is tightening the grip of colonial annexation around the Palestinians in the occupied West Bank by kicking them out of their homes, torching their properties through settlers and soldiers themselves. I mean, sometimes the soldiers are settlers themselves, and there are settlers attacking Palestinians during the day, and then they change their clothes into uniforms. And this is the reality for the Palestinians. My question is, how is this possible? What kind of what kind of enchantment have we fallen trap of? Because there is nothing that can rationally explain the passivity of the international community in the face of this. And this is not even the first genocide that happens in my lifetime. Rwanda and Bosnia, and then the Yazidi and Myanmar. Are we that incapable to implement the Genocide Convention? Yes, we are.
then what should international community do to stop this horror story?
If, there should be different things at this point. If Israel doesn't stop, there should be a ground intervention. It has happened. The right to protect is there, and it has never been invoked. I've been calling for a protection presence in the occupied Palestinian territory for years now. And the thing is that it's necessary in order to create a buffer between the Israeli army, which must withdraw and the Palestinians. And the Palestinians need to be allowed to resume their life. The reoccupation is unlawful, must withdraw, must dismantle the colonies, must stop exploiting Palestinian resources. This is what international law is about. And instead of enforcing this upon Israel through a protective presence and through sanctions, stopping arming Israel, stopping buying technology and military services and weapons from Israel, and then isolate it like any other apartheid state. This is how Israel needs to be treated right now.
When you know the truth and when you saw the news in media, what can you say about that balance? Do people know the truth?
I think that I mean, the facts are available. The facts are available. So I don't think that anyone who doesn't know is justified because anyone with a mobile phone has come across the starving and the killing of children. Uh, first of all, the responsible ones are people in government. All they know very well what they're doing, what they are not doing. And then, of course, their governments. So, I know how the Holocaust was possible. Now I know.
And when you know all of things, all of those things, I mean, uh, there must be some kind of hidden cause, hidden interest in the higher level of positions. I mean, what's the other opinion? What's the other conclusion of everything? What is your conclusion about that?
Look, I think that now it's pretty clear what's going on. I think that for a long time there has been a restraint from Western countries, particularly European countries, toward Israel because of the memory of the Holocaust. Like there has been this association. Israel has been very, very smart in appropriating the memory of the past to use it to its convenience and to justify crimes against the Palestinians. So it has leverage on the sense of guilt of the Europeans, on European indifference toward the fate of the Palestinians. The Europeans have never given a penny about in general, but I mean, not just Europeans, the rest is not different. Like it happens to people who have no power, no army, no huge capitals. This is what happens. You get sacrificed. This is the brutal reality of our world. Although the Palestinians are phenomenal, I mean, they've built themselves from the fragments of the exile, and they continue to be incredible intellectuals and committed people to justice and peaceful means, which doesn't mean obfuscate and obscure what has happened on October 7. But the point is now not October 7 anymore. And even Israelis say the same. Look at what has happened for 600 days plus. We cannot continue to look at the horror of the 7th of October to explain what's happening now, because it's clearer now that what's happening now is an escalation of what the Palestinians have resented and experienced for decades at the hands of Israel: the colonization, the brutality, the mass incarceration, the extrajudicial killings. This is what the Palestinians have tried to revolt themselves to, and so partially what explains this support to Israel is ideological. And there are more and more, it's clear how many people in governments embrace Zionism as this ideology that Israel is to be a Jewish state. Yes, but what happens? It's not a Jewish state. On the one hand, plus where is the state? Because on the one hand, there are Palestinians who are not Jewish inside Israel, 20% of the population, but also Israel treats as its own state, surely the West Bank and East Jerusalem, and is going to. It claims it wants to annex or reconquest Gaza as well. So you see, it's an apartheid state that expands itself. This is the basic ideology that the West I embraces, and many in the Arab region among Arab governments do not seem to be displeased with. And then there are the interest, the financial and economic interest, which underpins the economy of the occupation, which today has turned into an economy of genocide.
You bravely called out the president of European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, on your social network X. What can you say about that? I mean, it's like some kind of double standards. Um, Talking about democracy and talking about the new normal, peaceful things, but on the other hand, supporting Israel with weapons.
Look, I don't even think that it's double standards because when you talk about double standards, it means that there are standards that are different. In Palestine, there are no standards because this bestiality, the brutality and the barbarism that we see today displaced, this is not qualifiable as standards other than standards, heinous standards. Now, what I think is that there are today the European leadership represents to many white supremacy, white supremacism. And as a European, as a white European raised in a Christian family, in a Catholic family, although this is not who defines myself today, I'm defined by human rights principles and values, but I find it appalling. I want to be part of another Europe. And I want Europeans to really realize what's happening to all of us. We have been scared, we have been traumatized, thinking that the danger comes from desperate people seeking refuge and better quality of life when their life has been destroyed at home, while in fact, those who really suck all the resources that workers and young people have is related to racial capitalism. This is what I've realized through the last investigation I've conducted in the occupied Palestinian territory, which today is, excuse me, Palestine is a revealer. And the European institutions have been directly linked or have enabled, to an extent, they've also been complicit with what Israel has been doing. So while I know that European institutions and Madame Ursula von der Leyen has huge responsibilities because of what she has said. She needs to be investigated. Absolutely. There is no question about that.
So I guess you have collaboration with other organization for human rights. Do you have some kind of plan? Do you have some kind of direction that you raise voices more than now?
I think that there is a movement. I mean, when it was lighter than that, I used to call it when I saw the student movement in the US and then in the UK, in the rest of Europe. I've called it the watermelon revolution because it
And
really
in
seemed
Serbia as well.
Serbia is amazing. Amazing. Look, I was getting there because I've been following since last year what the students have done, and there is so little coverage about. It's not just the student. I've seen when the people arrived in Belgrade, it's a people revolution. And so the question is, where is the direction? Guys, we need to look inside ourselves. Today is everything or nothing. Today it is to be justice on all fronts, justice for human beings, and human beings must be treated equally before the law, justice for the environment, justice for every creature which lives on this earth. If something we have learned since COVID and forward, and now through this horrible, horrible realities in Palestine, in Sudan, in Congo, is that we need to stand for one another, with one another, and we cannot continue to exploit the planet as no tomorrow because it's not sustainable for us and for who's coming next. So yeah, I think that there is a movement brewing and it's time to unite the struggles. Now, I've followed very, very closely what was happening in Serbia. Also, full disclosure, my best friends here are Serbians themselves, so it was impossible not to be inspired by the Pompeii. But at the same time, I've seen very little connection with what has happened in Palestine. Serbia is a state that trades in weaponry and surveillance technologies with Israel. Please link the dots because what's happening in Palestine is very connected to the system that is impoverishing everyone and also probably forcing Serbians, including the youngest among them, into a system that they don't want.
Thank you very much for your time.